Merry Christmas, baby. Reindeer's coming out to play.
What do I want to say about December? It's the last month of the year. This month is filled with mixed emotions for me. It's punctuation on a roller coaster of a year, and it's a reminder that time passes by really quickly. It's definitely a moment for me to pause and reflect. It's filled with friends, family, it's busy, yet it's relaxing, it's cozy, yet it's cold, it's Christmas, and it's New Year's Eve. This time of year is my favorite. OG Little Doodles might remember this, but back in the day I used to have this video series called AmandaClaus where I did little Christmas vlogs and I did giveaways at the end of every video, and those are some of my favorite videos to make because you guys had so much fun with them. I had fun making them. As things got busier with my channel and my business, I kind of had to pull back on making those videos for a while because this time of year is always the busiest with planners, Shop Amanda H. Leaves. But as I've been reflecting this year on what truly brings me joy, I really just looked back on those videos as such a good time, so I decided to bring it back a little bit for this year. I'm really excited because for this December Plan With Me video, I actually turned the cover page artwork that I made into a little free phone wallpaper. And that's not all. I actually also turned them into real physical holiday cards. So I'll show you guys all of that at the end once we finish the setup. So stay tuned. Alright, obviously based on the vibes of this video, this setup is definitely very wintry and Christmas themed, and I was actually inspired by this little miniature Christmas village that my dad used to set up every year when I was younger. I don't know if anyone else knows about these or if this is just something that was a thing in my household, but we had these little figurines and display buildings that you could collect, and I remember my dad setting it up on top of our cabinet display, and I was always captivated by it because it felt like I was transported into this cozy, small Christmas town, like something you'd see in a Netflix or Hallmark movie. We would set up the little town on top of this like cotton fluff so it would look like snow, and there was a lot of different types of buildings and characters and scenes, and some of them would even light up and move. It was pretty cool. Like we had bookshops, town halls, little pond rinks with people skating on it, and the characters, there'd be like parents holding hands with kids, and you could put up Christmas trees. And I remember maybe, I don't know if this is just like I'm making this up in my mind, but I remember like a little ski hill. And to me, when I was younger, once that little village was set up on our display cabinet in our living room, that would symbolize the start of the holiday season. And of course, we don't set it up as much now that all of my siblings have grown up and moved out, which is kind of sad, but I definitely have so many fond memories of that little village and the little figurines, so I think my parents must still have them all packed away somewhere in our basement, so maybe one day I should bring it back up and set it up myself. Anyway, that was my little story time moment, but for this setup, I actually did a couple of the spreads on Twitch stream with you guys, which was really fun because I got to hear some of your feedback and ideas, and I don't know, making spreads with you guys on stream definitely helps me a lot and it keeps me company as well. And especially for this particular setup, it was so helpful to have because those of you who are on stream know that I almost gave up on this theme at the beginning because it wasn't really turning out how I had envisioned it to, but so many people in the chat were like, Amanda, you always say to trust the process, just trust the process and finish it. And I'm so glad I did because it actually ended up being one of my favorite themes that I've ever made. But midway through, I was about to give up and start completely new. So this is just a lesson to you guys to trust the process, and also to me, because sometimes I also forget. But I did go into this knowing that I wanted to do something slightly more artsy, requires a bit more drawing and painting and stuff, and just kind of taking my time with this because of the cozy vibes on the stream. And I've been a lot more intentional about creating art a bit slower because I think, especially later on in my years as doing this, I think I rushed through a lot of drawings because, you know, I was on a tight schedule, had to get these videos up, but I've really been releasing the pressure from myself of finishing art on time, creating on a schedule, because I think that really hampered my ability to be creative and kind of added to this like art block or burnout a little bit. So I've really been intentional about creating slow art a little bit, and this is definitely one of those moments. So I actually used gouache for this cover page, and then I layered colored pencils on top of the paints because with only the gouache, it was looking a little bit too amorphous, blobby, watery. I'm not the best at using gouache paints. To me, I feel like sometimes I use a little bit too much water and then it kind of looks like watercolor. So layering the colored pencils on top of the paints allow me to go in for a little bit more details. It also gives it a warmer, fuzzier texture. And if I were to only use the colored pencils on itself, sometimes you get those little white spaces of the grain of paper in between, but having the gouache paints underneath kind of gives it that flat base. So I actually really like the mixture of the two. Now the color palette was also a mistake. So again, trust the process. I had meant to make it a little bit lighter, brighter, but it evolved into these rich, deep colors that I actually really ended up liking. It really gives those Christmas cozy vibes. As you can probably tell, as I was layering more and more details with the paints and the pencils, adding the windows and the lights to the buildings, adding details to the roofs of the buildings, it slowly came to life. I tried not to cut out too much from this cover page process video. Sometimes I'll skip through a lot or speed it up really fast, but I really wanted you guys to see like the full process of creating. Sometimes it doesn't start off looking that great, and then eventually as you build and build slowly it becomes something. And it was very cool. Now that I think of it, it is kind of indicative of that actual Christmas village that my dad would set up, because I do remember us slowly placing each building and character, and every year my dad would buy a new building or character to add to the scene, so it would be different each year, and it was kind of like a new thing. So I kind of did the same thing in this case, slowly adding buildings with different windows. Then I added the trees, and then I also added this little skating ice rink, falling snow, and just kind of building out this whole world. Something I love about this cover page, and it was also what I loved about the little Christmas village figurines and sets, is how it kind of seems like a moment frozen in time. If you focus on any part of the scene, you could come up with a little story about what each certain character is doing. There's people skating with holiday shopping bags, someone holding someone's hand, and I'm definitely a master at romanticizing everything, so that's probably what I'm doing here. I love me a good Christmas rom-com, cheesy Hallmark movie vibe. I've probably seen every single one, but I don't know, there's just something about every person having their own story but then being part of this larger scene, and that's so magical to me. As you guys finish watching me set up the cover page and add more details like the people and the snow and everything, I wanted to take this moment to truly look back on the year and reflect and learn, while also looking forward to the new year. And to do so, I asked myself a few things, and these are actually some of the questions that I put in the beginning of the doodle planner in the goals and reflections spreads. And it's just because I feel like these questions really kind of get my brain going, so I'd love to hear your guys' answers as well in the comments. So the first question is, what was I proud of this year? And I think this year was a really big year of growth for me. On the personal side, I'm really proud of the fact that I tried new things that scared me. I made the drawing board show, which was the new video interview format, and I got to meet and talk with some pretty cool people, and that was fully created by me. I sourced the guests, paid for the production, got everything going with the branding and everything, and it was pretty cool to make something happen from scratch. It might not have turned out exactly the way that I wanted, but I think just in doing so really got me, excited about trying new video formats. I also created stickers, which was a goal of mine for a really long time, and I kind of got in this mindset of being stuck by all of the possibilities of stickers, so I just kind of never made it, even though I knew that so many people were asking for stickers and I wanted to make them. But we made it happen this year, so we have sticker sets, which is so cute, and I definitely want to do more of that next year. But on the personal side, I definitely put myself out there a lot more this year to hang out with friends, date, and I really focused on healing my relationship with work and myself and creating art and content. I think it's no secret that I've definitely been struggling through what feels like a 2-year long, I don't want to say burnout, because I don't feel like it was a straight burnout for 2 years. I think I just was in a 2-year long period of mental fogginess is kind of what I call it. And of course, a lot of that probably has to do with the health issues and mental health issues that I talked about in a video earlier this year. But I do feel like I'm finally coming out on the other side of it. I definitely don't have everything processed or figured out, but I think I have a healthier outlook on hustle culture and my goals and who I am as a person. And I think my goal now is to do this sustainably for a long time, create things that I like, create art that I want, just to do that for a long time. And I think before I definitely, without even realizing, prioritized success and accomplishments, and it took a toll on my mental health as well as my actual physical health, which again I talk about in the video. I even had a surgery done, so there's a lot of health complications associated around stress and everything. So now I think my big focus this year was prioritizing like my mental peace, my physical health, my happiness. I think in the past I would say these types of things like, yeah, I'm focusing on my mental health, but almost because I knew that was what you're supposed to be saying or what you're supposed to be doing. And I don't think I actually was doing that. And I don't think it was conscious at all. I think I thought I was doing it, but for the first time this year, it kind of fully clicked in my brain, and I don't really know how to describe it. Yeah, anyway, overall, while this might mean, I've been putting out less content this year and accepting less projects, I feel like I actually took time to like live my life, took a little bit of a step back, and think about what I wanted. And I have been working through the guilt surrounding this, feeling like I have nothing to complain about, but I definitely constantly have to remind myself to give myself the same grace that I would give to others and allow myself to experience sort of like this transitional period. And I think because I didn't go to college and I've been working full-time for so long, I never got to do this whole figuring your life out period in your early 20s, so it kind of feels like I'm doing that now. Just been placing less pressure on myself, and I'm really proud of myself. Okay, the next question is, what are some highlights from the year? And I think definitely launching the doodle planner for the 5th year was a big highlight for me. I never thought I would get 5 years into a business, and just bringing to life the denim and teddy texture this year as well was so cool to me. It's definitely my favorite planner I've made with my team for sure, but also, it was a really big year of travel for me. I didn't really share too much about this on YouTube, but this summer I took a leap of faith to live in New York for 2 months with my best friends, and it was so much fun. And I also just visited Japan and Korea this past month, which I do have some videos that I will be posting soon after this end of the year busy period is over. It was so much fun. I definitely love traveling and visiting new places, experiencing new cultures, and I feel very lucky to be able to do that with my friends. But this kind of leads into my next question, which is, what did I learn this year? And on the topic of travel, I think what I've learned and realized is that while I do love traveling and exploring with my friends, I think I was using it a little bit to run away from my life a little bit. I think when I felt burnt out or confused or foggy, I definitely used some of these trips to escape a little bit. And escaping sometimes is definitely okay and necessary, but I realized that running away can only last for so long, and it is a temporary band-aid. You kind of get that temporary fix of serotonin and adrenaline from being in a new place, and then once you get back, it all kind of crashes down. And I think I've always felt some sense of not fitting in anywhere, especially, in Toronto. I've kind of been like a lone wolf, and I would make jokes about not having friends or things to do or people to hang out with, but I think I wasn't allowing myself or giving myself a chance to fit in anywhere just by running off all the time. So I definitely have a want to kind of build a sense of community and home and kind of plant my roots down now. Whoa, I sounded very country there, but maybe this is like a getting older type of mindset. I think maybe now that I'm 25, that's something that I just long for. I feel like I already talked about the other main lesson, which is just, prioritizing my happiness and health, so I won't talk about that too much more, but just taking a step back to see what made me happy about creating content, and it definitely was engaging with the community and you guys, which I have been doing more again by streaming regularly and doing more things like that. So that was 2023. Let's talk about 2024, which is, what do I want to accomplish next year? So for next year, I have a bunch of projects that I want to work on for shop, and it will definitely take a little bit of rebuilding. I am going to make a whole separate video on this, but I possibly want to expand to something different than stationery, and yeah, just in general, placing less pressure and just creating a lot more of things that I want to make. And it doesn't have to be the same thing all the time. It doesn't have to be the perfect video, the perfect piece of artwork. Just kind of have fun with it more. And I think 2023 was sort of like a tear it all down, burn it down to the ground year. And I had this building that had like structural issues from the beginning, but kind of had these temporary fixes and shoddy repairs all over it. And this year I like demolished that, and it feels so good to start fresh next year and rebuild it with like a more solid foundation. Kind of a convoluted analogy, but it makes sense in my brain. Anyway, as I mentioned, I'd love to hear your guys' responses to these 4 questions. So leave them in the comments below. Maybe it'll get your brain thinking about what happened this year as well. So what were you proud of this year? What are some highlights from the year? What did you learn? And what do you want to accomplish next year? Okay, jumping back to the spreads a little bit, because I know I didn't really explain what I was doing, but you know, I feel like these first few spreads you guys have seen me make a lot, so I don't feel the need to narrate everything. This next spread maybe is a little bit new, but it's a gift tracker spread. I've done a couple of these in the past, but I wanted to integrate it into this December setup because this year I definitely want to give out some very thoughtful gifts. So this is kind of like a gift tracker spread as well as like a gift idea spread mixed into one. So I created these columns. One is where I put the name of the person that I'm gifting to. The next is for like gift ideas, and I can like jot them down. I left more space for people like my family members, and then those smaller right columns I like check off once I select which idea I want to do, once I purchase it, and then once it's wrapped. And this spread is kind of simple, you know. Finally, we have made it to the weekly spread. So for this spread, one of the viewers in my chat on Twitch suggested that I do the little buildings at the top of the weekly spread columns. So that's exactly what I am doing. I definitely got the hang of using gouache a little bit more as the spread went along, and I enjoy it a lot now. I think I will be using gouache a lot more in my journal spreads because it's kind of like the best of both worlds of watercolor and acrylic paints. You have like the ease and portability of the water-soluble paints and being able to just, you know, add water to the paint blocks and go straight in, but you can actually layer on top of like dark colors. A lot of times you'll see sometimes, you know, in watercolor you have to start with the light colors and then build to the dark because you can't layer watercolors super well. But with these, if I make a mistake, I can just kind of go over it pretty well. And like I mentioned, I like the combination of these gouache paints with the color pencil on top. The color pencil definitely gives it like a warmer feeling to me, which I really like, and kind of reminds me of like children's book illustrations almost a little bit. I actually feel like gouache paints would be very suitable for beginner painters. I think it's a really easy medium to use if you're new to paints and kind of want to dabble into it a little bit. And in these Shop ARL notebooks, they don't bleed through, so that's also a plus. Alright, so just building up the houses again. I kind of got the hang of painting these houses pretty quickly and kind of getting down like the designs that I really liked seeing on the houses to create that cozy sort of, I feel like it's like a London house, London winter village vibes, European winter vibes, just like little cozy local bookshop type of stores, those like brick houses and everything. And then I created the columns for the weekly spread using a fine liner. This was a 08 fine liner, so kind of on the thicker side, just doing them, I think it was like 6 dot spaces wide. And then I painted the rest of the background blue. This was definitely probably the most time consuming, and possibly because I was using the wrong brush. I used the same paintbrush for the whole spread. I'm just lazy, and I also have like an emotional attachment to this paintbrush. I've had it since high school. It was actually one of the brushes that my art teacher told us we all had to buy as like our high school art kit, and I've been using it ever since. I use it for watercolors, I use it for gouache, and yeah, I definitely probably should have used like a larger brush for the background though, but we got there in the end. What I've noticed about gouache is that when it dries down, it definitely dries a different color from when you're first painting it wet, so that kind of tricked me a little bit, especially with the background colors. But again, once I layer the snow on top of it and the colored pencil, it all kind of blends together a little bit nicer. Going in with the colored pencils again to add the window pane details and the roof details, and also using those to color in the title headers for the days of the week, alternating those colors again to create that cozy vibe. And I'm using my Uni Posca paint pen to add the snow on the roof, those little details. This kind of brings it all together, I think, just like adding those highlights to the houses and the windows as well. And of course using this Uni Posca paint pen to add the snow. Oh, also the numbers on the houses, which is the numbers of the days of the week, so that's kind of cute. To add the snow, I just added some large dots on top of the background, used the color pencil as well for some like more faded snowflakes, some smaller ones, some ones that are kind of like asterisk shapes to just add some variety and dimension. And then I added little titles that say events and tasks for the top part and the bottom part of the spread. Okay, so here's the final flip through. I love how cozy it turned out. It definitely reminds me of the little Christmas village. But don't leave yet. I know some of you guys leave during the flip through, but we have an AmandaClaus giveaway at the end of this, so let's get to it. Well, I know that was a lot. I talked about a lot in this video. I don't really know if there's a big takeaway from all of that. Perhaps it's just that I've been figuring shit out for 2023 and will probably continue to do so for 2024. I just feel a lot more sure of myself, even though I might not exactly know what I want to do, what will happen, or how I'm gonna get there. I'm just sure of my ability to get through things and make it work. Of course, I still have a lot to experience and a lot to learn, but I'm excited to do that next year. So all that serious stuff is over now. Now for the fun part, which is the AmandaClaus giveaway. As I mentioned, I turned the cover page art of this theme into free digital phone wallpapers, which I'll leave the download link below. And I also turned them into physical cards, which is just a fun nod to the old AmandaClaus videos, because back in the day I had these videos where I made like DIY Christmas cards. Now we're making holiday cards for real. So if you do want to enter to win, all of the details will be in the description box below. There will be 5 winners. If you win, you'll get 5 of the cards. One of them I'll write a personal message to you guys, and then the other 4 will be completely empty so that you can give them to your family and friends, which I think is really cute. If you don't win the giveaway, or if you just want the cards, I made a few extra of the cards and they will actually be available for purchase at Hanji Gifts. They're not going to be available on Shop Amanda Rachel Lee just because in terms of our warehouse and shipping it kind of wouldn't work out. So they will be exclusively available at Hanji down below, which is a local Canadian store. Yeah, I'm not making anything from it. I just wanted to make it available for you guys. Whatever point in life you're in, I'm proud of you for making it through another year, and happy holidays, guys. Keep doodling. Bye. Do you want to be my video? Come join me in the sleigh. Sure. Wait, I have a live Christmas caroler. What's your name?
My name's Victoria. Hello.
I was listening to her sing Christmas carols, and she ended up being a viewer, so.
I'm a big fan. I'm a huge fan.
Well, now you'll be in a video, so. Well, keep spreading the Christmas cheer.
You too. Yeah.
If you're in Toronto, come to the Christmas market and hear them sing. They sing beautifully.
I love your videos.
Thank you.
Thanks. Oh my god.
I love how you saw me just like sitting in the sleigh. Like.
Boom, ba-da-da, boom, boom, ba-da-da, boom.
Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer had a very shiny nose.
He had a shiny nose.
And if you ever saw it, you would even say it glowed.
Like a light bulb.
All of the other reindeer used to laugh and call him names. They never let poor Rudolph join in any reindeer game.
Like Monopoly, then one foggy Christmas Eve, Santa came to say, ho, 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 Rudolph, with your nose so
so bright. Won't you guide my sleigh tonight? Then now the reindeer loved it as they shouted out with glee. Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer, you'll go down in history.
Let's wrap it up now.
You'll go down in history. Cha-cha-cha.
Big sleigh, sleigh queen. Okay.